Hi, AMC movie fans. I am Roth Cornett from AMC Movie News, and here I am with Stephenie Meyer, who is, of course, the author behind the wildly popular Twilight series of books, which was adapted into the equally popular Twilight cinematic franchise. But Stephenie did not stop there. She is also the author of The Host, which has also been adapted into a movie which is starring the wonderfully talented Saoirse Ronan. Stephenie, you have to tell me what it was like to work with Saoirse Ronan. I am such a fan of her work.
She's amazing. Such a phenomenally talented actress. And then at the same time, also maybe the nicest person you ever meet. It is just a dream to work with her.
Tell me about The Host, because some people still may be a little bit confused about what it's about.
Well, science fiction is tricky.
Science fiction is tricky. I happen to be a huge science fiction fan, but you've called this science fiction for people that are not fans of science fiction. So what does that mean to you?
Well, some science fiction is really technical. It's all about the spaceship and how fast it goes, and there's a lot of physics and math involved. This is just really about people. It's more about what it's like to be human than what it's like to be an alien, even though it's told from an alien perspective. The basic premise is invasion of the body snatchers happened. It ended. We lost most everyone. The planet looks normal, but aliens are walking around. It's not us anymore. And the very few humans that are left are trying really hard to stay human, but they're kind of fighting a losing battle.
Okay, now I know that Twilight was sort of an allegory for you about love, so is there any sort of allegory or parable or overarching theme in The Host that you were exploring?
I think The Host is even more about love than Twilight is. Twilight is very specifically about romantic love.
Right.
It's about falling head over heels in love for the first time, and kind of that obsessive feeling you have. The Host has some elements of romantic love, but there's also the love of your family, the love of your people, the love of a child. And so I got to explore a deeper, more well-rounded look at the loyalties that we have and the way they bind us.
Right, yeah. Well, this is the other thing that struck me about it. It seemed like this looks like a girl struggling to maintain her own identity versus Twilight, where Bella's really struggling to discover and then embrace her own identity. So when you look at this final film, do you feel like you see the woman that you imagined she would become coming to life on screen as Bella?
I think Kristen did a great job. One of the requirements for Bella at sort of her zenith is that she is this fierce, strong, powerful creature. And I think Kristen really nailed that. She does feel very strong.
She does to me, too. And then especially, they've taken some liberties with kind of the end of the book, some creative liberties that I think is just going to surprise fans, but really delight them, too. I wanted to know if you were sort of a part of that process.
Oh, yeah. The screenwriter and I went out to dinner with the specific purpose of figuring out, can we make Breaking Dawn into a movie? And if we're going to do it, how? And so we came up with the slightly changed ending. But I feel like in some ways, there's one element we had to add in to make it sort of work visually, but a lot of that actually happens in the novel. You just don't get to see it. You only get Bella's perspective, and that can be limiting sometimes as to what's going on in other people's heads. Now we get to see what's going on in someone else's.
Yeah, and it is, you guys are going to be so excited when you see this come to life on screen, because everyone in the audience I saw it with was just gripping their fists.
I'm excited to see it with an audience that doesn't know what's going to happen, because I think the sound of their responses will be really fun for me.
It will be, believe me, because I experienced it myself the other day. It's interesting now that you're going into this new science fiction genre, and as a producer, I'm wondering sort of what was your role in this film's development, in The Host? Were you part of the casting process? Were you sitting down with the writers in this film as well? Because I know that you and Melissa Rosenberg worked very closely together.
We did on the later films even more so. With The Host, this is the most involved I've ever been in a movie.
Right.
The first producer who wanted to make this, together, we decided to talk to Andrew about directing. He actually asked me who my favorite directors were in science fiction, and Gattaca is my favorite science fiction movie, and he said, well, let's go with that. So, I was a part of every decision. It was a really amazing opportunity for me. I was involved with the script, the casting, pretty much every element, and it was really a wonderful experience.
Let's circle back a little bit to Saoirse Ronan, because I really am such a fan of hers. She seems to take so much ownership in her work, too. So I'm wondering how much you sort of talked to her about the character and what you guys developed together for this character.
We talked about it some, but when she came into this, I think she already had a pretty good idea of how she wanted to play the two characters. And it was really interesting to watch her because she's amazing.
She is.
And now she gets to play two characters at the same time. And so for an actress of her caliber, I mean, it's kind of a field day. I was really surprised, though. She responded so much more to Melanie than she did to Wanda, and I respond more to Wanda than I do to Melanie. And so it was funny that we had kind of our different favorites.
Yeah. Well, okay, so for people that don't know and maybe don't understand, Saoirse Ronan is a human female, Melanie, right?
Yes.
But she's also inhabited by this host, Wanda. So she sort of traverses these two different characters and their needs and their desires, which are at odds initially.
Right. Well, she has Melanie, who's this tough human survivor who
Right.
kind of can do anything she has to protect her family and do what she needs, who's been caught. She's been added to the alien world. And Wanda is the alien who has been kind of randomly chosen to inhabit her body.
Right.
And Wanda is like her people. She is this peaceful, loving, kind, soft kind of character. So then you have Melanie, who's all tough, and then Wanda, who's really very gentle. And they have to work together in very close proximity because they're sharing a body, which makes things really, I mean, it's so much fun to write a situation like that where it's just very complicated. And I think Saoirse had the same kind of joy of taking that complicated relationship and running with it.
How are they kind of depicting that cinematically? Because when we're reading it, of course, we have the benefit of the internal monologue and things like that. So are they just having her switch gears, switch her attitude, switch her vocal cadence?
Well, a lot of it is performance. We are using some voiceover, so you actually get the mental dialogue a little bit between the two of them. It came together really easily. There was a sense at the beginning that it might be difficult, but Nick and I and Andrew, the three of us always felt like, no, this is really easy. What's the problem? It feels very natural.
Let's talk a little bit. Okay, so there's, of course, the very famous love triangle in Twilight, but we've got kind of a love quadrangle going on in the host. Explain to me.
The other day, Jake Abel, who plays Ian, called it a love box, which I thought was nice. Well, you've got Melanie, who, as a human, was in love with Jared, and the two of them were family. And then Wanda moves in. And she also falls in love with Jared just because she's stuck with all of Melanie's memories, and that emotion that Melanie has bleeds over into her. And then they are around other humans, and Wanda meets someone. And so then you have the addition of that fourth member of the box, which makes it complicated on both sides. You've got Melanie Wanda with one guy, and he doesn't love one of them, and Melanie Wanda with the other guy, and he doesn't love the other one. And it's interesting.
As an author and sort of seeing these characters come to life on screen as you've done, is there in the Twilight franchise one pinnacle moment when you said, yeah, that's it, that is the character that I designed? And has there been one yet in the footage you've seen? Have you seen any footage from the host?
Oh yeah. I've seen the early cuts.
Anything in that?
Yes. I mean, Saoirse's fantastic, and she has a lot of really good moments. But there is one moment towards the end where it's just a close up of her face for a fairly long period of time, and there's just nothing. It's just her, and she's so, you just can't look away. It's an unbelievable moment with her, and she just really kind of embodies the duality of the two of them. It's amazing.
Was there anything like that for you in Twilight when that just jumped off the screen at you?
There are moments here and there. It's hard to think because there have been a lot of movies now, but all three of our leads have all had their moments where I'm like, yeah, you go, Taylor. Look at you looking just like Jacob Black.
Thank you so much. Where are you on to from here? Are you going to take on another genre, or is there more in the world of the host to write?
There's lots more in the world of the host to work on.
Okay, great. Well, we're looking forward to it. We're going to see it on AMC screens on March 29th. And remember, the epic conclusion to Twilight, the Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2, is opening in AMC theaters on November 16th. So we'll see you at the theaters. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's really nice to meet you.